Count it down or something.
No. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, everybody. What's up? You live again on GLX Sports. Your football fan talk for tonight. This is like a little special night. We usually go on Wednesday nights. That's our normal night. And that's when we pick our teams and pick the games that we like. Give our little info from last week. But we have a special show tonight because we want to talk a little bit about Jon Gruden and the things that came up about his emails that he's been sending over the last, well, it wasn't the last 10 years, but it was from like 2010 to 2018, and the things that surfaced to get him fired. Now, in this show, I am the lone Cowboy fan here with three Raider fans. So you guys should really have some interesting perspectives on this. And I'm going to defer to you guys. I'll go say what I need to say. But I don't know which one of you wants to go first. Who wants to be the leadoff batter and talk about this? But, I think we can have a nice conversation and get introspective about Jon Gruden and what we feel about the situation. So
Yeah.
let's see. Y'all want to go the young man first to lead off because he's the youngest, and let the OGs go last. OGs go first. How y'all want to do it?
Yeah, go ahead and let Lil G go, but before
Oh
that,
yeah. Yeah,
I was
we ain't
just
been
gonna
able to say
say,
nothing about the Raiders.
just a
But
little
let them go.
disclaimer. This is why I always say that I'm a Raider fan. This is part of it, so people can understand. Because you're gonna hear a lot of people be like, "You still gonna follow Raiders after what they did and all that went on?" Look, that has nothing to do with the organization. So I'm gonna just
That
put that
part.
out there. I want to let that be known, because it's gonna a lot of haters gonna come out and whatnot. But I've always been a Raider fan, not Oakland first and all that, but nothing to do with one person in that organization. I'm about the organization.
All right. And with that, Young G, lead it off for us, Playboy.
All right. Well, first things first. So, like you said, from 2010 to 2018, he was, exchanging emails and whatnot with, I want to say, the former Washington football team president. What's his name? Bruce
Bruce
Allen.
Allen.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, first things first. That man said, what he said? He said he criticized Roger Goodell for, I guess, quote unquote, pressuring Jeff Fisher, who was at the time St. Louis Rams um,
Head coach.
head coach. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's because he said he pressured him into drafting Michael Sam. Now, if you remember Michael Sam, he was the first player to come out before the draft and say he was gay and whatnot. And after that, it was just crazy because Michael Sam, he was like all SEC, all that. And then he said he came out that he was gay. He fell to like the second to last pick in the seventh round when he was
Yeah.
projected to go in the first two. Um, Also, you got to factor in that Jon Gruden, he also was he was just the coach of the Raiders. Carl Nassib, who was the defensive line for the Raiders, was the first openly gay player to like actively be playing. So it's crazy to see, you know, how I guess okay he was with that, but in the past he reflects otherwise. Now, me personally, I think Jon Gruden pissed somebody off and somebody leaked all that. Like,
Mm.
it's like who did he make mad in order for that to happen? Because if you look at it, what happened with the Washington football team, that's been happening over the last few years. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of
Uh,
been on and off. So why didn't this all come out, before the Raiders had moved to Vegas? Because this happened before the Raiders had moved to Vegas. Obviously, this is before he was. I want to say this is before he was even the head coach or during his tenure, whatever, his first
yeah.
couple of years.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was really curious to me to like, why now? What changed to where it was like, okay, we finally got to crack down on what Jon Gruden is saying when this has already been an ongoing thing for the better part of the 2010s on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, with the whole him being like sexist, homophobic, and those transphobic and whatnot. I mean, hey, seeing the way Jon Gruden talks to like his players and just the people in general, he kind of, I don't know, just me personally, kind of gave that undertone that he was like. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that he, came out and said these things, just because, like I said, how he, how he talks to people in general. But I don't know, it's interesting. I'm interested to see where y'all here, like where y'all come from as far as this. Because me personally, it's like, well, finally the cat's out of the bag. Like, when it's I don't know. I feel like it's not. What's the reason now when it's already been happening? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, a good
You know
question
what I'm
too.
saying? That's a big answer. That's a big answer that I feel like I need. That I feel like that needs to be addressed. Why now?
Yeah, yeah, you're right about that. The thing is, man, there is something behind that. We know that. It's all
Mm-hmm.
about the time is going to bring it out. You know what I mean? We'll find out. But for now,
I'll touch on it for you, Young
just
G, in a minute.
playing with the facts we're given, it's going to lead us there. You know what I mean? Shan, so
Yeah.
what do you think, man?
Well, me and you had talked earlier, and for me personally, I think it's the all boys club, right? It's still a business. It's still corporate America. I worked for a company for 14 years, and I wasn't allowed to have swag, so to speak. I had to go educate my so-called managers and leaders on who I was and whatnot, and the assumption because of the dialect that I chose to have and whatnot was that I didn't go to college or something of that nature. I wasn't as gifted as it's almost like Smith said, DeMaurice Smith said, when you see somebody sitting at their table with them and you look different, now all of a sudden it's a problem. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But for me, it was kind of interesting that all week long they were like, Gruden used some racial insensitive, insensitive remarks. Gruden used some racial insensitive remarks, right? Like us growing up in this America, we're like, yeah, what else is new? We know it's the issue. But now, when he resigned, the ball was already coming, right? And it's not he wasn't gonna have to resign if it was only a racial incident. You know what I mean? But what happened was he was sending emails of topless cheerleaders, to Bruce Allen and some other good old boy networks, and he wasn't even the topic of focus. You know what I mean? And then back to Sam's. He called Goodell a pussy faggot motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And so all of a sudden now it's racial, misogynistic, and homophobic, right? Now it's in the right order. It's just in reverse because they don't give a shit about the black man for the most part. You know what I mean? But they're like, oh, we're gonna lead with this and get the charge and get the black people behind and understand that we're trying to change this NFL. But the real story is that he was degrading the women and he was homophobic. You know what I mean? Because we've gone through this on a regular basis. You know what I mean? And like if you really look at it, all the organizations, the NFLs, they don't have no black owners. There's more women owners than there are black owners, but they have two minority owners. The what's his name, Khan, and
yeah,
and then the dude for the co-owner for the Bills, he's Asian, and then in baseball it's the same thing. There's only one cat that's now just stepping up, and he might be the first black owner of in Atlanta. What's his name? Brandon.
I don't know who that is.
Well, I think it's for Atlanta though. But the point of it is, like, had it just been a black thing, he would have just been suspended. You know what I mean? That's the way I
I
look
don't even
at
think
it.
they would have did that for real.
You know what I mean? But since it was all kind of like, oh, you know what? They're sharing top. It was a good old boys network. Like the lady who reported on it, her name was Julia B. I don't want to mess up her name, but her last name starts with the B. But her whole thing was she was like, man, it was just interesting how casual the emails were because there was 650,000 emails that the New York Times was investigating, and
Mm,
afterwards they said, hey, y'all might want to look into this. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And
mm.
Gruden, he wasn't the target. He was not the target. They were looking at the Washington organization, which is kind of funny because didn't Gruden's brother coach over there?
Yep.
Sure did.
You
Sure
know what I'm saying?
did.
So it's just like
Yeah.
there should be some more heads rolling, but we'll see what's really gonna happen.
Yep. Yep. I feel you on that. No, I mean, Mike, Raider Mike, what do you have to say about that?
Well, my personal take is like I said, and I'm going to keep it real. Washington football team exposed Gruden Mike did. Uh, like Mike exposed everybody at the table on why did I get married too. At the breakfast table, when they started airing out all his laundry, and airing out all his business. What about? And he said, well, hey, then Redson said, hey, what about John with the
Yeah.
racial jokes and the gay slurs and called Godell a faggot ass motherfucker. And they said, guess what? Checkmate. We just got the heat off of us just for a minute. And I think he was the scapegoat. John Gruden was their scapegoat to get off, you know, to get off,
You know,
get the pressure off of the Washington football team. So that's what the name is now, right? But they need to pick it.
yeah.
But I just feel that when Gruden called the man that lifts figures and Michelin tires or whatever,
That's funny. I'm not gonna
that shit was funny to me because
I'm not gonna lie.
okay, so we talk about people too. We all have our jokes. We talk about other races with jokes, and that right there didn't offend me because if you mad and you mad, it don't matter if they white, black, red, or brown. If you got parakeet mouth with small lips, then you gonna call him parakeet mouth. He ain't got no lips. That's a different joke. You're going to say some things when you're mad. You see, call Godell a faggot, whatever. That wasn't the one that got him. We all know those are not the two things that got him. Things that got him, we already know. And
Yeah.
that was the gay slurs and the topless women's shirts and it just, those are the things that got him to where they went to the gay, whatever, I forget what it's called. They went to, they went to Godell. Godell has to protect this shit, Gregory. The shield has to be protected. NFL shield has to be protected. And when the gay community, when they got into this, they going full 100 on Gruden.
Oh yeah, of course.
Godell could have dismissed him and called him a faggot. But one thing that he could not overlook was the sexist stuff with the women and the gay slurs, because he knew that after the NFL been promoting this stuff, all of this stuff on some of these commercials, that he just could not stay there. He said, Mark Davis, what you gonna do? And he said, either you gonna fire him or he gonna resign. That's the choice. They all, Jerry Jones and all of them was probably in there. Said, wow, Mark, yeah, you're gonna have to fire him. What you gonna do, Mark? So I just feel that Gruden. Do I think Gruden? Do any of us on this panel? Do any of us think that Gruden is a racist? Me personally, I don't. I don't think he's a racist, but everybody has a right to be upset about something. But you just shouldn't have put it in an email that just makes you look, don't make you look too good.
The internet is forever.
The internet is no good not to put something like that in there. You can get on the phone. He could have been on the phone talking to Bruce Allen and air out your laundry that way. Not where you got it written down and typed up and you threw it in the trash. And guess what they say? Hey, we finna go back in his trash and read all of these emails.
So
that's how that fool got caught. He might have thought it was deleted. Hey, they can go in their trash and get it, but damn, for 10 years with shit that they don't know that evidence that long, they wanted to get you. They wanted to get him or get somebody. But I guarantee you, he's not the only person, because we're gonna hear some other people too.
Hell no, he's not.
That's why his brother's gonna be on there too, because his brother is. What's his name there? What's the quarterback? Griffin the third.
The third, yeah.
I mean, he got some emails going back to his brother. He got some stuff going back to how he didn't want him.
Yeah.
And we'll see. We're gonna find out all of that. But my thing is, I don't condone none of this stuff. But society has gotten, soft. I mean, we can't say this about certain groups when we were able to say that. But what about, this is my thing that bothers me the most. You want to talk about race and color, but what about us? What about the black man? What about all the stuff that's happened to us? What about that? You guys worry about this I understand it's a serious topic. People, you can be the way you want to be gay. That's fine. No problem with it. But what about all the black people that's been since segregation, since slavery? What about all of our stuff that would happen to us? And people still make jokes about that, about the hangings, the burnings, man, I
People
could go
still do
on
it to
and
this
on about
day.
it,
People
taking
still
our
do that
kids
shit
and
to this
selling our
day.
kids, separating us out of our kids from us if we got out of line. What about all of that stuff? And
Hey, I mean, I feel you on that.
do
You
you
know
feel
what I
me? But
mean?
I'm not going to go too much more on it. I'm just saying we're
Yeah.
going to stick to this topic. But what I'm trying to say is when one separate group has more power
I know
than
exactly what you mean, Mike.
that's a problem for me because
Yep.
that means it's not okay to do anything. But Jon Gruden, what he did, okay, that was 10, 11 years ago or whatever it was. That was then, this is now. He definitely is a different person, but it's just they had to do it because the heat was on him about
All right.
the comments about the women and the about the gay slurs and stuff. And I understand you can't do that and it won't be tolerated. And they have already stated that, but too late.
All right, man. I
That's what
know. I feel you, but I want y'all to creep with me as I roll through the hood. Maniac lunatic off Snoopy was nah. But I'm gonna go back. We I want to drill down on this a little bit more. You know what I mean? Because for me, outside looking in, I'm not a Jon Gruden fan. Never really have been. But I'm, kind of indifferent because it's not like I hate the dude, but I'm like, you know what? Let me just look at everything overall. So for me, I'm like, okay, how about him as a coach? His record is 117 and 112, which means he's an average coach. You know what I
Right.
mean? And then when he came back to the Raiders, what did he do? Traded Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper. Got rid of the heart and soul, the
Yeah,
soul, the
yeah.
soul brothers of the team. You know what I mean? And that was strictly to corral and get control. You know what I mean? Because there was no reason for him to trade either one. Because as you can see, trading them did not make the team better. You know what I mean? And then you get with Antonio Brown, you get him, he gets freaking cut before the season ever starts. So you got all that. I look at that because to me, when I look at Gruden, I see a very arrogant person. I see an overrated coach. You know what I mean? He was what could have made him, to me, a better coach was if that Tuck rule didn't happen and you guys beat New England, because I think that could have took a total different spin. The Raiders could have ran off maybe one or two Super Bowls or something around that time. That jacked y'all up. The NFL did that to get at Al Davis. That's what I believe. But that was like his apex with the Raiders. After that, his relationship with Al Davis went down the hill, and Al Davis traded him. That whole thing. So you got that. For me, I have that in the backdrop. But then you look at when all these emails and everything took place, it was like after he got a Super Bowl, which was a gift. We know this. That was Tony Dungy's team from
That was
top
a
to
house of
bottom.
Dungy.
You know what I mean? So, and then he ran into the perfect storm when he played the Raiders. The Raiders changed nothing, and he knew every single play you guys were going to run before you ran them. Their defense was surprised, like, hey, everything's happening like he said it was. You got that. But guess what? He never won a playoff game again after that Super Bowl. So that was a gift. So he's overrated as a coach. Now let's just go into him as a person. Me, as black people, man, we all have a radar. We all have a sense, a sixth sense of people that we look at and be like, man, there's something about this cat that don't add up to me. So you guys are Raiders fans, so you can't see it. Like, to me, I always looked at Jon Gruden as a person who looked at black people's talent, admired it and all that, and kind of wished he was that type of cat. That's just me. looking in. I always felt that. So for him to be saying the things he said, bruh, this stuff is straight vitriol. I mean, to be looking at DeMaurice Smith and be like, the exact quote, you know what I mean? He didn't even call him DeMaurice Smith. He called him Dumb Boris Smith.
Yeah,
Said his lips was the size of Michelin tires. Now, we seen DeMaurice. You got some big ass lips.
We got some. He got some big old. He can swallow up a hero sandwich with one bite.
You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing, but we know. I'll take that. Like, okay, that's just a joke. But if he see a player with nappy hair or something, you don't think in the back of his mind, like, God damn, it looks like some Alabama cotton right there. You know what I'm saying?
Who's that dude? Who's that dude that Howard Cosell? That one time,
We call Alvin Garrett a little monkey.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
When you roll back and then you look at the things that he was saying about Goodell, okay, he called him, let's just put it out there, he called him a faggot. You know what I mean? And then after that, he called him an anti-football pussy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then
facts.
he said, then when it came to Michael Sam, the 2014 draft, he was like, the NFL shouldn't have pressured, he said Goodell specifically shouldn't have pressured the Rams into drafting a queer. So I'm like, bruh.
Yeah, he shouldn't have said
his
that.
language, just look at his language, man. That language is like of somebody with like some deep hatred. You know what I mean? And then what about what he said about Eric Reed? He said Eric Reed kneeling to protest police brutality, he should be fired for that. You know what I mean? So it's just like, keep on, you know what I mean? Exactly. I was about to say, you keep going down the line, bruh. If you saw Gruden with a MAGA hat, he fit right in. He sounded like one of the Proud Boys. You know what I'm saying? So I look at that. But then when you peel this back even more, right? This is how they do black people, right? When the news first came out, it was that Gruden made racial slurs, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
When was this? Was this Sunday or was it Saturday when it came
Friday,
out?
actually.
When was it?
It was like right after the game, if I'm not mistaken.
Nah, it was Friday.
No?
Friday, it came
It was
out
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah. So it came out Friday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what do you guys think Monday was? It was a semi-holiday, I guess, to some people.
Oh,
Columbus Day,
well,
holiday.
it was
National
supposed to be.
Indigenous People Day?
It was
It's not.
yeah.
No.
It was supposed to be Columbus Day, but they're switching it up to Indigenous People Day.
No. You guys are still off.
And
Man,
then the other thing is Italian American Day.
No, you guys are still off.
Well,
No.
enlighten us.
Monday is National Coming Out Day for LGBTQ.
Oh, okay.
So when he resigned on Monday, what was the headline? It was nothing about racial slurs. It was about homophobic slurs.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? And being misogynistic. So therefore, they put the black, racial, slur thing out there in front to get everybody fired up. And even when they were talking about that, they were saying that he may be suspended. Can he come back from this?
Right.
And then Monday, when it came out that he made homophobic slurs, it's like, he resigned. It's done. It's a wrap. So, you just peel back this thing all the way to the beginning. Even I looked at today, Sporting News, their headline was, he made homophobic and misogynistic slurs.
Right. The racial
Same with
stuff is
CNN,
downtoned.
same with Fox, same with ESPN. The racial thing is totally to the back. So they use that to incite people and put it up front, but it's really all about LGBTQ, him disrespecting them. That was his downfall. You know what I mean? But I don't have any, sympathy for the guy. He totally buried himself, and the whole thing, we ain't even bringing up the fact that he was sharing emails of females with the Washington, who was that? With Bruce Allen?
Bruce Allen.
So, and that's how it started, but they had these emails for months. They already knew.
Wow.
So I'm with you with G in the sense that he pissed somebody off. Something happened.
Because look, check this out, right? You know, did you see what Keyshawn Johnson said about it?
Yeah, I read that one
Because
too.
you know
Yeah.
he was Gruden was coaching when he was in Tampa. He was like, bro, basically he's like he's been doing this. That was one of his traits when he was in Tampa. Like that's just who he is. Like he's trying to
Yep.
sell y'all some shit that's like you feel me. That's part of him. That's not
Yep.
really who he is.
Said he's
Type
a
shit.
fraud,
Yeah.
bad car salesman.
I'm like, if you think about it like that, I mean, damn, like.
But to me, that's how he comes off. I don't see anything genuine about the guy. You know what I mean? I mean, and that's not being someone. I don't hate him. I don't have no reason to hate him. You know what I mean? I don't dislike him to the sense where I want to talk bad about him. I just look at him as like what I see. You guys are Raiders fans. That's your coach. So
yeah, but he wasn't the greatest coach.
Yeah, you got to find some likability in the guy. For me, I look at him. He seemed phony as a $3 bill, man. That's just and I'm not surprised at nothing he said.
I believe I hear you because I just how my personal feeling was when we had Jack Del Rio, like I told you, we should have kept Jack Del Rio, and that was my whole thing. Mark Davis is the one who wanted Gruden back because of the relationship him and his father had, and he wanted to fix it. And I just felt like we was past that already. We've already had you. You know what I'm saying? It was time to just keep the coach that we had because we had the good continuity at that time. Gruden came back and tore all of that up, got rid of Reggie McKenzie, and that's where I said, you know what, I didn't like it. I didn't. It took me these 3 years that he's been the coach to really kind of get a little bit on board, but not all the way on board because I said, he haven't done nothing. I said he's been had a lot of false advertising.
Mediocre.
It's been mediocre. He was mediocre in Tampa Bay, and he was this year. We was getting there, but then we had some injuries, and that's gonna happen. But I was wanted to just see what he was gonna do for this whole year, but now we won't be able to see that. So that's all. I mean, he didn't even, like Greg said, he was not a top flight coach. He wasn't the most winningest coach. That Super Bowl was a gift from Tony Dungy from the house that he built. And I noticed why he got rid of all of those players is because he wanted to do it his way and do it with his players. That's why he did the Khalil Mack. That's why he did Amari Cooper. But he hasn't panned out.
If you'd have kept Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper, man, you guys would have been a lot better, man.
Well, we were what, a year removed from a 12-4 season? Like,
here's what I find interesting about that too, though, right? Is the fact that like he was high on Derek Carr. Don't get me wrong, I think Derek Carr he's a pretty decent quarterback.
He wasn't high on Derek Carr when he got there.
No, he was. That's what he said. But what
I'm saying, wasn't.
But hold up, let me finish.
He may have said he was,
but here's the thing though. How come he couldn't go to Derek Carr and be like, bruh, we got to keep Khalil Mack? You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand what he was trying to do in terms of, like, we got to get some money to free up and whatnot. They just paid Derek Carr $125 million, and then he wasn't producing. Hey, bruh, we need 50 back. We got to keep Mack. We got to have that defense, bruh. You know what I'm saying? But to your point, G, he did start cleaning up all the brothers, Marquez King, Amari Cooper, like it was just like
Marquez King, the punter.
The punter, everybody, bro. All of a sudden,
when did he get rid of the punter? That's what I was mad about.
It was like a yard sale.
Swag to the game. He didn't want the swag.
That's what I'm saying. Follow his footsteps backwards, man, and you see like what's the difference between him and the stomp down mega hat wearing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right, but so like for me though, like it's not that I disagree with you. I totally agree, but I look at the bigger picture. That's the NFL. Look what they did when Kaepernick started kneeling in 2016. If he was winning, if he was a winner, they would have listened to him and been like, oh yeah, he's making us some money. He's an earner like Goodfellas. He's a good old boy. He's one of us, right? But since he was losing, and then he started taking the knee, they were like, what is he doing to this game of football? He's disrespecting our veterans. How is he disrespecting our veterans? Because he's taking a knee to the national anthem because he's trying to bring something to light? So, like, to me, it's bigger than just Gruden, because Gruden's like the tip of the iceberg, or at least he should be. You know what I mean? And, like, to your
he's not even tip of the iceberg. He's just one ice cube inside the water. because
There
they're
you go.
Definitely a pawn in this.
Yeah.
they could pull anybody's emails. I guarantee you. I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I guarantee you.
Oh,
Jerry
Jerry Jones
Jones
for
got all
sure.
kinds of
Oh
shit.
yeah.
For
Well,
sure
that
he
boy
got-
runs like a pony right there, huh?
Yeah,
You know,
you know.
like, you know, we had talked about this a couple days ago. You know, it's this is America. This is a setup and whatnot. You know what I mean? And I get that. You know, but they try to act like it's no big deal. Like I knew Paula Deen used the N word before they went public with it. She's from the South. She's like 80-something years old. You know, hell, we just got rid of people who trip off the Jim Crow laws and all that. That's not even 100 years ago. You know what I mean? As soon as affirmative action came, they denounced that stuff right away. What did it last? 10 years maybe tops? And you know who benefited from it the most? Was women. And it was supposed to help black people and people of color get a equal footing and legging, but nah. The women.
No, sir. It benefited white women the most.
Well,
not
yeah,
women.
thank you for the correction. Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But
You're right.
But that's the thing, and then so it's really funny because like Gruden, he went in on Goodell. You know, he went in on about the whole homophobic stuff, but he really went in on the women too, about the referees, about and then they had the topless cheerleaders and stuff like that. And it was just really interesting reading the article that the girl wrote, and she's like, I'm just so amazed how casually they were just going back and forth. You know, he wasn't talking to himself. You know what I'm saying?
Bruce Allen was in on it too. She was.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Wait,
Where's his emails at?
like, look, if I send you an email saying, and man, Demora's got them big old sausage lips.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You're gonna reply, right? You gonna put an LOL, or you gonna be like,
Right.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we don't even know what the replies are yet. You know what I mean? Because
Are they gonna
people
show them?
reply to them. You know what I mean? They're
Are they
waiting
gonna
on
show
that.
them?
I'm sure they're holding on to those for future reference. But y'all didn't even trip off how they said in 2012 Gruden was talking shit about Obama. And he called
I heard about that. I read that too. Yeah,
He called
about
freaking-
Obama.
he
He
called
talking
Biden
about Biden a pussy. He called
a
Biden a
nervous,
pussy.
clueless pussy.
Pussy.
So,
Yeah.
but just think, they said he talked about Obama. They know what he said about Obama already. They're not even releasing that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
They
what did he
know.
call him?
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Which really brings me back to my question, like, why now? You feel me? Like, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
They could have brought that up, like you said. Same thing, I guess this ties in with the whole Washington football team thing too. Like,
It do.
this has been going on since 2010.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure they said the 2018, but I'm sure it was still going on now.
It's still going on.
They're just trying to give it a timeline to try to, I guess, dampen it to where the NFL doesn't look as bad for just now catching it type shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, and y'all know, because y'all been watching football a whole lot longer than me. Ain't no way in hell this is the first time something like this is happening.
Oh,
The
heck
only
no.
difference now, we just in the internet age, and now you can really, everything's so easily accessible. Like,
It's kind
You
of
know
like
what I'm saying?
arguing. It's kind of like arguing with your significant other over text. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that, cause all she gonna do when it's a good time and you bring up something familiar, she gonna go, "Well, wait a minute, that's not what you said a week ago." You know what I'm saying? So
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I said. Somebody Jon Gruden pissed off the wrong
Yeah, he
person.
pissed off the wrong person, but he
And
pissed
then
off
after
the
that,
wrong.
too, I mean, in a way, the Raiders are an easy target.
right,
Right, and I hate the Raiders. And, I mean, it's in blood. That is written in blood that the NFL don't like the Raiders because Al Davis sued their ass and won twice.
And one. Yeah,
And
that's what I'm
won
saying.
2 times. But let me ask y'all this question, and I want an honest answer out of everybody. I'm going to let you finish, whatever. But how many out of 32 teams? How many of them owners do you think are racist? There's a close. I'll
Yeah,
say.
no.
I'm gonna say.
Oh, except for
if I had to choose,
Shaheed Khan.
You think Jerry Jones is? I don't know. I say it's 27 out of 32, Greg.
Bruh, look like this, man. That's how bias
How many you
came
think?
about. That's how the term bias came about, because it's like, you know what?
Well, he was talking about the owners too, though.
But what I'm saying is, like, you know how they switch from racial to, oh, that's a bias. You didn't know no better. You was growing up. You know, like, a lot of them cats, they racist and they don't know it. You know what I'm saying? But you don't know that you're race. It's just like when the LGBT community come out and be like, hey, man, that was offensive what you said. I didn't mean nothing by it. You know, like when I was growing up, we didn't have all
what
that
do you
type
mean?
stuff.
You talking about like Dave Chappelle said to the LGBT, they all crying wolf, telling them they want him the shows to be taken off Netflix, and Netflix said no.
I'm just saying that, like, it
Don't.
as you grow up in your environment, you don't know what you know until you step outside of your environment. You know what I'm saying? And then, like, within the NFL, it's nothing but old white men. It's nothing but older white men that own it, that's running it, that's doing it. You know what I mean? And look, we couldn't get black quarterbacks because guess what? We was not smart enough to run the offense and stuff. That's coming back from 1800, 1600 when we were slaves and stuff. We wasn't smart enough because you guys made us that way by not allowing us to have action to education and books and be able to read. You wanted to control us and whatnot. You know what I mean? Now we're just now getting a lot of black coaches, right? And then we don't even have no black owners, man. And we have the most dominant.
Don't mean to interrupt, but I just was able to get on the chat. I see my cousin up there. Tyson, how you doing? Love you. And she said that he talked about George Bush too. I didn't even see that. Yeah, Gruden talked about Bush too, I guess, man. I guess it's equal opportunity.
Right.
You know, I mean,
Yeah. But I'm just like, to me, I just think that it's a regular error. You know what I mean? Like, Goodell's in on it. You know what I mean? And the main goal is to keep the money going. You know what I mean?
Goldell is just trying to protect that shield.
Oh, absolutely.
That's his job. He kissing other people's ass from all the way here to across the street. The LB, whatever they call. He kissing their ass from all the way across the street.
You know what's funny though? Like, we was watching, me and you was talking, and I was like, damn, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Kendrick Lamar are gonna be doing the Super Bowl halftime show. What's really going on?
Well, Jay-Z's in charge of it. Jay-Z's in charge of it, and it's in L.A. So,
but
you know, Jay-Z knows what to do.
But now, before this came out, they announced Marshawn Lynch was going to be the brand ambassador for the NFL.
For the NFLPA.
Yeah, so, but I'm just saying, you got all these little trinkets that they put out for the black community, right? Because 650,000 emails, bro. You was researching this for a while, bro. You know what I'm saying? And now all of a sudden, they're like, oh, Jon Gruden used some racially insensitive remarks about the Players Association head guy. It's like, wow, okay, now you get the black people riled up, but then you give them some stuff before you get them riled up, and then all of a sudden, pull the rug out from underneath, and it's like, oh, but he really went in on the LGBT community, and he was talking about women. They was degrading women by sharing posters, pictures, and all that, and it's like, so it really wasn't about the black people at all. You know what I mean? And it never is in the NFL, because look at them tiny-ass things they doing. Black Lives Matter on the back of a helmet. We all can make a change in the NFL. Like, what is that? Like, I mean, come on, man. Y'all make the most money. The NFL is like a $1 billion corporation, man. You could do way more. Yeah, you could do way more than what you're doing.
Billions.
And we got our young black brothers leading the way for them, making money. But we get.
All right, so. What do you think is going to happen in the future, man? From this day forward, now that we know everything he said, you know, and it's all out on Front Street. Is he going to work in the NFL again? Is he going to be a Mariah? Is this it for him? What's going on?
It's going to be, I'm going to say what? It's going to be eventually, I don't say he's going to work in the NFL again. Or if he does, it's gonna be, and I hate to say it like this, but like who that whole Chucky persona and all that, I feel like eventually they may let him back in booth. Just because, like, you know what I'm saying?
He's not gonna.
He very much will.
he's not gonna
I
coach,
think
but he's gonna be back in the booth. Because if we haven't we learned anything from Dick Vitale, you know what I'm saying? You know, like Jon Gruden is still good business. Like people still respect his opinion and all that type stuff as far as like what he's got to say about football and whatnot. You know,
Absolutely.
his biggest hurdle is gonna have to be making up to the LGBT community and the female community. You know what I mean? So there's at some point in time they're gonna let him back in because he's one of the good old boys, man.
yeah, but it's gonna take him some time. But
Yeah.
I don't think that he gets let back in the NFL. That's 2 stints. You get 2 stints of being a head coach, and then with this all this negative publicity that just happened. I hate to say it, and then your record as being a coach, all of that factors into it, and I just think that that's his last NFL job. He got more than enough money to,
Man got almost $100 million.
Yeah, but no, he only get 40. I don't know.
He got 40 million out of that.
Yeah, he got
He got
40
40 out of
He
that?
got 40. He get 40 out of that, but
you can
he
make
can't
some
get the
stuff happen
100.
for
He
40
can't get that
million.
other 60. So my thing, did you see that thing that they posted on? Somebody posted on the internet. They got him saying, "How the hell you get fired on your day off?" And like the
Like
like the Friday thing. If you see it, it got Jon Gruden there with the picture. I know you can't see it, but
That's cold.
I'm like, that's cold. Ain't that cold though?
that's
Damn, people
cold
not
for
He
sure.
did though.
He did though. He got fired on Monday. That is the day off.
Well, the talk
So-
is though, like in the media buzz, they didn't even want him coaching Sunday. You know what I'm saying?
Huh?
Like they wanted it to happen before Sunday.
Yeah, I know they didn't want him to coach Sunday. They was trying to pressure them, but Mark Davis held off.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Mark Davis was like, it's just the Negroes.
Well, here's the thing, man. He will never be the leader of men again. So he will never
Oh,
be a
hell
coach
no.
again.
Hell
Oh, yeah.
But I could already see it working, bruh. They worked through all the black folks. Like I listened to Shannon Sharp this morning. Oh yeah, I'll forgive him. He can, he'll be back. Tony Dungy. Yeah, I can forgive him. He'll be back. Randy Moss crying on TV.
I
it's
didn't
just
even pay attention
so
to that shit.
they use the brothers to get the sympathetic ear.
Why
Everybody's
he's
gonna forgive
crying
him.
for he's crying for Gruden?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're gonna use all the black folks to get the sympathetic little feeling towards him, and then he gonna lay low for about 5 years or so.
yeah.
And before he gonna come back on TV
Oh yeah.
because
Yeah,
He
for
showed
sure.
back on TV.
they like his
He's good
personality, man.
He's good in
Yeah, they
entertainment.
way too much.
He's
But
good.
he won't be coaching. I don't think he come back to the NFL to coach though.
Nah,
That's
he
like
never
what,
coached.
after,
Yeah, but they loved him as an analysis, man, for like 10 years and whatnot. You know what I mean?
Watch.
They had him going
What,
to all the camps and stuff, So I mean, bruh, if you making them money, them being the corporation, they're gonna find a way. It's kind of like what was that casino? Hey man, let him be a chef in the kitchen or something. He could run the casino behind the behind the scenes, but he doesn't need to be the main guy and stuff like that, Because when
He ain't gonna be the main guy.
Nah, he'll never be that.
No,
But
but
I just-
remember how Al Pacino was making
Just-
the money, whatever his character was, Sam Rothstein, and they kept him in the loop because he was an earner for him. That's gonna be like Gruden. They're gonna
You
find
mean
a
Robert De
spot for
Niro?
him. Yeah, I'm sorry, Robert De Niro. They're gonna find a spot for him, dude. They're gonna find a
Yeah,
spot.
Yeah,
for
they're
him.
gonna find a spot for him, but my thing is I'm disappointed because for one, I wasn't a believer in him getting that 10-year contract, and number two, I wanted to see this 10-year contract through to see if he was going out of them 10 years. I said, you owe us 2 Super Bowls. I was counting on him getting 2. I was going, and even though I was a doubter, because I like Del Rio, because I'm a Jack Del Rio. That was the dude who I wanted to be the coach for until he retired, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to just see Gruden through this, but now we won't get a chance to see that. And I'm disappointed on him on that too.
Yeah.
I think there's
Well,
two ways to look at it. Though. I think there's like, is he a racist? And then
No.
does the NFL condone?
Okay. Stop right there, Shan. That's a good question. So, Mike, when you ask, is he a racist? Mike, you say no.
I don't think he's a racist. Because
No,
Greg,
hold
because
on, Mike.
we
Let me get
spoke about.
everybody's consensus first. Young G, what do you say?
You're racist?
Yeah.
Like, just, yeah, my brain is saying, yeah, man, because it's just like you said, like those tendencies, like,
Yeah.
especially with former players saying that this has been what he's been doing for years, like, call a spade a spade.
Yep. Say, Shan, what do you say?
Like I am on that line that he is a racist, but at the same time, like I understand where they brought the word bias into the situation. You know what I mean? Because you grow up in that environment, it's just like natural habit to you. You know what I'm saying? And this is the America that we live in. So, because America on a whole is racist, it's built up on a caste system and race. I'm better than you and this and that and all that type stuff. So by that definition, yeah, he's a racist. But was he doing what everybody else does? Absolutely. That's what the NFL is. That's what corporate America is.
Yeah. So me, just like, hold on, I don't cut you, G. I'll get back to you.
Good.
But me, I say yes. It's a solid yes. But he is the same as everyone else. You know what I mean? Like a lot of other guys will probably hide it more. He was an arrogant person with his, and we all know people who are racist. But the thing about America is part of the fabric.
Yep.
A lot of racists don't even know they're racist. They just are.
Right.
But we could point it out and we know it. With him, black people are just the means to an end. He wants to win football games. He wants to be a great coach. So to me, he look at freaking Khalil Mack. He might as well be a freaking Vogue tire. Freaking Amari Cooper. He might as well just be, some rims on the tire. I mean, it's all part of the machine he's using to get somewhere.
Right.
So for him, I think he's a regular American privileged white cat who looked at black players as like, hey, these guys mean the shinier and the better, better for me. So, even with that, it's all throughout sports. So it's hard to like hate the guy as far as like, he's not going to come up to you and call you an N-word and slap you or want to fight you or anything, but his attitude and his mental is like you're less than him.
That's all coaches. That's what all of them use the players for. It's like the owners and the presidents. Of course, it ain't nothing but a piece of meat. And what can you do for me now? It's not tomorrow. What can you do for me now? If you can still produce, you will be here. If you can't, you get thrown away like all the other old bones. All the other old and decrepit players get thrown to the side, or they don't.
Just,
all of a sudden, they can't get a job. And we're like, I'm gonna tell you, Navarro Bowman. Bowman, you know who I'm talking about. Navarro Bowman, played for the Niners. Played for the Niners and he played for the Raiders. The league was like they just kind of like he got blackballed. Why? That dude was still productive. He played damn good for the Lakers for coming in half like what he came in a couple of games after the season started. He was balling. After he played for the Raiders, you never heard from him again. Have you?
But it's funny, my cousin just pointed out in the chat, his son is still on the Raiders coaching staff. Gruden's son.
Of course, they don't have no reason to fight. Like you can't necessarily be guilty by association unless you're black. You know what I'm saying? They don't have no emails.
What do you think the players look at his son and think?
Man.
They probably tested him now. Like, well, your daddy said this. Like, what do you say? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not a good thing. His son will be quitting. Daddy resigned. His son will be resigning too.
But now, like what may be interesting is, sometimes it's a generation removed depending on how they grew up. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we're all.
I'm saying his son might be
No. His son. I've seen little clips of his son. His son is just like him. they're similar, I'm sure, personalities. Just like Young G, when it boils down to it, he's a lot like me. You know what I mean? He knows my ideals. You know how your daddy think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So nah. And plus, like I said,
That's
I've
the thing.
seen
That's the
little
thing though
interviews with his
too.
son. So not interviews, but I've seen interaction with his son and the family thing where they do family exposés on him. He's not tree.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I
Nah,
haven't really checked into him or anything like that. I just kind of feel from time to time that we grew up with cats that their parents was like from that era of racism and whatnot, but they were like, damn, but dad, you ain't even talked to this cat. I'm playing football. I'm getting to know him, and they started bringing the change about. So that's why I sometimes give the benefit of the doubt, without like sight unseen. I don't know his son. I ain't seen anything like that, but
Yeah. But I'm letting you know, I've seen an expose of their family, and the son is like him.
so
So I know what you're saying because we all grew up with people like either little Asian cats or white cats or whatever, and their parents
right.
felt a certain way about black folks, but his they think different. Because like you said, they be around black folks and like, man, they're not kind of like what you're saying. They're a lot different as far as I know.
As soon as you turn your
uh,
back, they're
like
sticking it
case
in
in
your
point, like
spear.
so one of the high schools I went to was it was predominantly white school or whatever, and a lot of my friends that I had at that school, like their parents, they wasn't messing with me because I was that black dude, but they were. They came from that racist background and stuff like that. But the friends that I actually made at the school, like they were cool. You know what I'm saying? And eventually, it sucks. It sucks to say it like this, but it took their kids, like my friends' parents. It took my friends to be like, we get to understand that, like, who I am and being like, being black is not a bad thing, in a sense. I'm not saying it worked for all of
Yeah,
my friends, but some of
that's
them,
crazy,
it was
man.
more open-minded and stuff like that.
Fellas, I feel you, but like, in wrapping up, man, we all have our feelings towards it. I feel like in the end, he's gonna be back 5 years from now.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
He'll
100%.
have
Yeah, okay.
his image will be tarnished. You know what I mean? But he'll be back doing
100%.
something and getting back in the good graces already. I was looking at the chat. My cousin
Nah,
was saying some players are supporting him. So, you know, black folks are forgiving people. So he'll be back
Right.
doing something with
but that's
soul.
the thing. Do you think he'll be back while Goodell is in still commissioner?
No, no,
Nah,
Oh
nah,
no, not with
nah.
no.
Goodell's like,
That
what?
ain't gonna
You call
happen.
me? Oh hell no. Oh
I don't
hell
think
no.
I
Trust
don't
me on
think he
that
gonna
one.
let him out either. I don't think he gonna let him come back in while
No,
Goodell's
oh
there, man.
no,
Man, he
Not
might be
while
doing
not while Goodell there.
he might be doing a podcast like us, man.
Cause
But he ain't gonna
I
work
tell you
that
He
like
deal.
might.
this.
Hey, that might how he get his fan base back.
Cause I
Yep.
tell you like
But
this.
it's
If
just
Goodell lets that happen, Gruden ain't gonna be the only one calling him a pussy faggot motherfucker, bro. I guarantee you that, man. It's gonna
Hey,
be some
that's for
grown.
sure.
It's gonna
he's
be
gonna
some
be having some like
grown.
some Trump followers, huh?
Yeah, hell
We're gonna
yeah.
have
They
them
might
be
show
having
up at
Yeah.
some
Goodell's house,
have
man.
them some of them having
Like,
he just because he that ain't what he want. That ain't what he want. That ain't what's gonna work for him. He can't have them kind. Cause then he really ain't getting back in.
yeah, but I do think
You
that
got supporters like that, Gregory, he ain't getting in nowhere.
yeah,
Nah,
but
not at all.
I do
He
think
gonna have to
that
get it right, and it's gonna take some time. 5 years, but as long as Godell is in there, he ain't moving nowhere because
Yeah.
they gonna block everything he do. So
Yeah.
he just needs to go on. He got enough money.
I mean, got funny
I'm
deal.
just like I said, I'm just disappointed in the things that were. And my thing and my advice is, if you don't want your laundry aired out, don't put it in an email.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, with
That's
that,
it.
man, we gonna wrap him up because we know we gotta get ready for the show tomorrow where we really get
Yeah,
down and
you
get
know
into this
what I'm saying?
competition,
yeah.
you know.
Well,
But
I just want to step
you
back and
know,
say that I think it is important though for Gruden's whatever his personal choices, antics, or whatnot, not to be a distraction of the overall picture of the NFL needs to make changes drastic changes, not just
Absolutely.
on behalf of the LGBT community or women, because like the percentage of them playing sports is actually small compared to the black men that are in there contributing and whatnot. So we can't just be like, oh, we're gonna use you guys to, get the story and the ball rolling. But what we really want to do is bring this other shit to forefront. And it's like, whoa, 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 man. Damn near 50 to 60% of the players are black, man. Look how we're getting treated, man.
65.
Okay, I wasn't too far, but you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, put that number against how many alternate lifestyle, how many women are playing up there, but because the